Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. During CitizenCon 2022, we saw updates that were coming to cities and cityscaping. I want to talk about some of those updates and the future of landing zones, cities, various outposts and Outlaw space stations that are going to be appearing in the Pyro system. The CitizenCon presentation, Lorville Redux, was billed as catch a glimpse at our application of things learned since our first planetary landing zone. They are building Lorville 2.0. They want to evolve the oldest cityscape in Star Citizen, and they've improved various technologies, their tools, and they're now able to build more landing zones in a much better way. So they've come back to previous landing zones, the first landing zone in game, Lorville, and gone, we're going to make significant improvements here. So they will be increasing the size of the city and making more buildings accessible so they can have missions and FPS opportunities here. The city's profile and skyline is incredibly important for Lorville 2.0. So they've moved past a concept and white box and grey box and gone well into final art for a lot of areas of the new city. So Lorville 2.0 is much more massive. They are keeping the original areas, though most will evolve a little. The transit system has to expand for this. They are keeping the same number of gates, though, around the city. So the exterior of the city, yes, it is expanding in size, but they've got the same amount of exit points. You'll be able to fly around the city and various sort of arches and under areas and much closer to the city. So you're not going to be pushed away. The sort of forced no-fly zone is being much less restricted. This is potentially one of the biggest changes, in fact, because this will allow us to get really close to that city. This will allow us to fly around and actually be able to explore some areas that we weren't able to explore before and have a look around. People want to fly around these giant cities. They want to go, wow, that looks cool. But being able to get closer to the action, get close to those cities, does mean they need to improve the quality of those assets, which they are, and potentially make those areas of cities and various points look a lot more lived in, look a lot more like they're actually being used. You want it to have like living roads. You want sort of to see activity around these cities. There'll be more landing areas, there's going to be roofs to land on, there'll be new assets, some higher levels of detail around the assets we already have. There will be various gameplay opportunities around buildings and the expanded landing zone. Some of the building interiors will be fleshed out, so you'll land on a rooftop, you're about to go into buildings. There'll be various mission areas here. The difference is staggering already. Being able to fly around a massive city like this is what I've wanted for ages. No-fly zones are no longer needed as much in the same way. You can expect updates to other cities in the future, like ArcCorp, and I think that's the one a lot of people are waiting for, and all the tools and assets that they have built out now allow them to build out other landing zones and cities much faster, larger, and better than before. We also had a little video called Outlaw Lifestyle, where we saw the new colonial outposts being taken over by bandits, outlaws, pirates, etc., and repurposing them after they were abandoned or after they've defeated their previous owners. So these new sprawling ground locations are extremely modular and a magnitude more complex than the outposts we have previously seen in Star Citizen to date. They will provide huge ranges of gameplay opportunities and just places to, explore and move around. The additional use of extra assets and makeshift components make these outposts sort of really come to life, because they've got like quickly put together guard towers made out of wooden scrap, jury-rigged electronics, piles of junk, broken doors, tons of loose wires, bullet holes everywhere, chop shops and garages, salvaged equipment everywhere. Sort of all of that comes together to make it feel like a criminal gang has taken over there. And they're very poor at any form of trash collection and sort of infrastructure. And these areas will look markedly different from similar facilities that are well taken care of by their inhabitants. You can expect to see drugs facilities and production areas, slaver pods and illegal medical procedures going on here. These are the sort of areas where you would buy narcotics and then take them elsewhere to be sold. We also have some of the giant space stations that have been claimed by the gangs of Pyro. Javelin for scale here. So there are a variety of new stations that are going to be around Pyro. And I say new, they are new from a development point of view, but in game they're old, corroded, dirty, and sort of giant sections of them have collapsed. And if you go in Inside them, there's corroded interiors, plastic sheeting, umbrellas put up, so the sort of life support systems and climate array stuff has all gone malfunctioned or a bit weird, and it can rain inside. There's scrap plates that line the walls. It's all very cyberpunky, Blade Runner-y, but also oppressive, gloomy, dangerous, a bit shady feeling. That's the general feel. But also, with giant piles of rubbish, the trash collection is very bad in these Outlaw areas. There are areas that are pretty much entirely collapsed or disused, which is also very much sort of mirrored on the exterior. And yet, the stations have a feeling that they are pretty actively used by travellers and residents and gangs there, mainly because they are the only option, I suppose. Pre-CitizenCon, we also had an Inside Star Citizen that looked at Outlaw outposts. It was showing off additional assets that could help make an outpost to sort of get dressed for Outlaws. There were barbecue pits, prison areas. It had makeshift facilities for medical procedures too. It looks to me in these facilities that they were sort of harvesting organs and then making people into delicious barbecue foods. The area they showed off there as well looked like it was going to be fantastic for FPS gameplay. There was a load of cover options, and yeah, I think it would be quite fun to fight through a load of chefs and slavers and sort of doctors and go around these areas and try and work out what's happened. But these outposts and assets will be used all over the verse to expand out gameplay area and content. New landing zones will allow for delivery, combat and investigation missions, as well as opportunities for loot, resupply and trade. Exploring them might lead to some secret missions, Easter eggs, and uncovering more of the story of a particular area. I'm hoping that Cloud Imperium can bring the Bethesda-style Skyrim Fallout environmental storytelling to each particular landing zone as they build them out. We don't have long to wait to get some of this new landing zone area in-game either. Alpha 3.18 has quite a big new landing zone on Daymar with the Junktown and the two crashed 600i and Mercury Star Runner ships all sort of merged together. There are combat and delivery missions there and looting opportunities. I'm looking forward to exploring it. There's also new sand caves and prison updates. Security Post Korea has had a facelift. Orison's platforms have new missions, and all of this stuff has gameplay updates associated with it as well. Once Alpha 4.0 and Pyra out, we will have those new space stations and colonial outposts properly in our hands, but there's a load of other gameplay area coming with all those planets of Pyro and their new biomes too. We've obviously previously seen Pyro 3 at CitizenCon last year, where we got quite an in-depth look at some of those colonial outposts being used by residents that are a bit more able to take care of them, though I would hardly describe them as pristine. But as Cloud Imperium build out larger and new cities and all that sort of jazz, and then we get more and more types of outposts that can be used in lots of different modular ways and can be set dressed in near infinite ways, we're going to have so much gameplay area. We're not going to know where to go and visit first, and there's always going to be some cool opportunities to go somewhere new. And beyond all of that, going slightly further into the future, Cloud Imperium are already working on new massive underground facilities with kilometers of sort of like transit links underneath. There's persistent hubs and hangars at some point, and one day we'll have player bases. So I'm really looking forward to the devs showing off all of their work on these features as they come closer to release. But boom, that's it for your city outpost and gameplay area update today. But what did you think? Are you excited by the updates coming to Lorville? What do you think ArcCorp will look like when it's updated? Do you think that's something they might get around to doing next year at some point, or is it something they'll come back to later? Where do you want to live when the Pyro system's out? Do you want to stay in Stanton? What planet of Stanton or area would you like to live in? Or are you going to move to Pyro 3 or a space station? What are you excited for? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. NordCon 2952, the road to Nord 4.0. What do you want out of nordvpn.com/BoredGamer? Nord base building? Nord hunting 2.0? A dynamic Nordonomy? I'm personally looking forward to the latest Nord cruiser. In the meantime, I'm going to make do with NordVPN protecting my data from insidious space pirates and giving me unrivaled access to all the content that the internet has to offer. Use the links below. Note, NordCon 2952 does not actually exist. Also adding to my shill pile, Tobii Eye Tracker 5 gives you precise head tracking and control with your eyes. That's the sound of my eyes controlling the lasers. giving you unprecedented immersion in Star Citizen. You can basically aim lasers with your eyes. Pew pew! Use the links below and code BoredGamer for discount. Every month we have a ship giveaway for Star Citizen. For October, we're giving away a Cutlass Black with pirate skin, lifetime insurance, and Star Citizen game package. All you need to jump into the game. Just comment on any of my videos made during October to be in for a chance of winning that. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider becoming a channel member with the join button below my videos, or potentially becoming a Patreon. You'll get access to some exclusive content, and it really helps the channel out. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and have a great October.